After the boy had left, Holmes gave some instructions. After the boy had left, Holmes gave some instructions to the servants. "If anybody comes and asks for Mrs. Cupid," he said, "do not tell the person that she is ill. Show the person straight into the sitting room." "There are some things I want to explain," Holmes said. Then he told the inspector about Hilton Cupid's visits to us in London and the pictures of the dancing men. "These drawings are a kind of secret writing," said Holmes. "They look like children's drawings, but they are messages. Each picture of a dancing man is a letter of the alphabet. Let me show you how it works. The letter of the alphabet which appears most often in English is E. The picture of the dancing man which appeared most often was this. So I knew that this picture was E. Some of the dancing men were holding flags. I guessed that a figure with a flag was the last letter of a word." "But how did you find out what the other pictures meant?" I asked. "On Hilton Cupid's second visit," went on Holmes, "he brought 3 different messages with him. The last message was this. In this message there was no flag, so the message had to be one single word. What could it be? The word had 5 letters, and the second and fourth letters were E. It might be sever, or lever, or never, but the most probable of these words was never. So I knew these pictures were N, V, and R." "Excellent, Holmes," I cried. "What did you do next?" "Well," said Holmes, "I knew Mrs. Cupid's first name was Elsie. I noticed that there was another word which had 5 letters and began and ended with E. So I guessed that these probably were L, S, and I. In one message, the word Elsie was written twice. In this message, the word before Elsie had 4 letters and ended with E. I guessed the writer was asking Elsie to do something. So, now I looked for an English word of 4 letters ending in E. The best word I could think of was come. So, now I knew that these were C, O, and M. Then I looked again at the first message which Hilton Cupid brought us. I used the figures holding flags to divide the message into words. I wrote out the message, putting dots for the letters I didn't know. Dot M, dot E-R-E, dot E, S-L dot N-E dot. The first missing letter had to be A, and the second letter had to be H. Am, here, A dot E, S-L-A-N-E dot. Clearly, the 2 missing letters were part of somebody's name. So, it must be Am, here, Abe Slaney. Then I looked at the second message again. This message worked out like this. A dot E-L-R-I dot E-S. Here I worked out that the missing letters could be T and G. At Elridge's. I decided to find out if there was a place near Ridlingthorpe Manor that was called Elridge's. If there was, then I knew that this was where the writer of the messages was staying. Inspector Martin and I looked at Holmes. It was wonderful how my friend had found out the meaning of the dancing men. "What did you do then, Mr. Holmes?" asked the inspector. I guessed that Abe Slaney was an American. Abe is an American name, and Mrs. Cupid had recently received a letter from America. This letter had upset her very much. So I sent a telegram to a friend in the New York police, asking about Abe Slaney. This was the reply: the most dangerous crook in Chicago. The same evening, I received Hilton Cupid's final message. The message worked out like this: Elsie dot R-E dot A-R-E to meet thy G-O dot. Clearly, the missing letters had to be P and D. Elsie, prepare to meet thy God. I knew the Cupids were in terrible danger. Abe Slaney was saying he was going to kill Mrs. Cupid, so Dr. Watson and I hurried immediately to Norfolk. But unfortunately, we were too late. Hilton Cupid was dead. But what about Abe Slaney, Mr. Holmes? Asked Inspector Martin. If he is the murderer and he's at Elridge's, he may escape. Don't worry, said Holmes. He won't escape. He's coming here. Here? Said Inspector Martin in surprise. Why should he come here? Because I have written and asked him to come here. Holmes stood up and walked to the window. Look, here he is. The picture sequence from the cinema has finished. You can look at it one